Imagine being told to leave your home, your job, your life, overnight. No warning, no mercy. This is the reality millions face in 2025 as governments worldwide declare war on immigrants. But why? What's driving this global purge? Is it fear, greed, or something darker? As global tensions over immigration reach unprecedented levels by 2025, nations worldwide are adopting increasingly aggressive policies to expel foreign populations. Driven by economic instability, political polarization, and cultural preservation agendas, these measures have sparked international condemnation while reshaping migration patterns. Below is an in-depth exploration of the top 10 countries leading this trend, analyzing the root causes, policies, and consequences of their crackdowns. 10. Japan's immigration paradox lies in its shrinking population and resistance to foreign integration. By 2025, the nation faces a critical labor shortage, with over 30% of its population aged 65 or older. Despite this, Prime Minister Fumio Kishida's government prioritizes robotics and AI over migrant labor, investing $15 billion in automation for sectors like agriculture and healthcare. Stricter visa policies target low-skilled workers, particularly from Vietnam and the Philippines, with residency renewals denied to 40% of applicants in 2024. Cultural homogeneity remains a cornerstone of policy. A 2024 survey reveals 68% of citizens oppose long-term foreign residency, fearing erosion of traditions. Detention centers in Osaka and Tokyo have expanded, deporting 12,000 workers in early 2025 alone. Critics argue Japan's refusal to embrace multiculturalism undermines its economic future, but nationalist leaders defend the strategy as essential to preserving social cohesion. 9. Saudi Arabia's vision, 2030, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's blueprint for post-oil economic diversification has taken a harsh turn. The Saudization quota system, mandating 70% local hiring in retail and construction by 2025, displaces millions of migrant workers from India, Pakistan, and Ethiopia. In January 2025, raids on undocumented laborers in Riyadh and Jeddah result in 200,000 detentions, with deportation flights operating daily. While unemployment among Saudi youth drops to 9%, from 12% in 2023, human rights groups report widespread exploitation, including wage theft and unsafe repatriation processes. The government justifies the crackdown as a step towards self-reliance, but analysts note that automation in oil and gas, still 40% of GDP, relies on foreign expertise, creating a paradoxical dependency. 8. India. The 2019 Citizenship Amendment Act, CAA, which fast-tracks citizenship for non-Muslim migrants from neighboring countries, sets the stage for India's 2025 crisis. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's BJP government expands the National Register of Citizens, NRC, in Assam and West Bengal, requiring proof of pre-1971 residency. Over 2 million people, predominantly Muslims, are labeled illegal infiltrators from Bangladesh. By mid-2025, 50 detention camps house 500,000 detainees, while cross-border deportations escalate despite Dhaka's refusal to accept them. The UN High Commissioner for Refugees condemns the policy as state-sanctioned religious persecution, but Modi frames it as national security imperative, citing border skirmishes and terrorism fears. Economically, the crackdown strains India's $3 trillion economy as labor shortages hit construction and textiles, sectors reliant on migrant workers. 7. Denmark's 2021 landmark law to process asylum claims outside the EU becomes fully operational by 2025. The government partners with Rwanda to build asylum hubs, relocating 10,000 Syrian, Afghan, and Somali refugees to facilities in Kigali. applicants face a 90% rejection rate, with returns to conflict zones rising sharply. Social Democrat Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen defends the policy, stating, "We cannot risk our welfare model for uncontrolled migration." However, leaked reports reveal inhumane conditions in Rwandan centers, including overcrowding and denied medical care. The EU threatens sanctions, but Denmark's opt-out from common asylum policies leaves it undeterred. Meanwhile, Danish industries like hospitality and elder care struggle with a 15% vacancy rate, exposing the cost of isolationism. 6. Poland. Poland's stance on immigration splits along geopolitical lines. While accepting 3 million Ukrainian refugees since 2022, the right-wing Law and Justice (PIS) government intensifies pushbacks at the Belarus border. In 2025, razor wire fences and AI surveillance drones target Middle Eastern and African migrants, with 25,000 forcibly returned to Belarus. Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki accuses Belarus and Russia of demographic warfare, claiming they weaponize migration to destabilize the EU. Domestically, the policy enjoys 65% public support, but farmers protest as seasonal labor from Ukraine dries up. The EU withholds $8 billion in recovery funds over rule of law violations, deepening Poland's rift with Brussels. 5. Italy. Giorgia Meloni's Brothers of Italy party fulfills its anti-migration promises through controversial deals with North African governments. Italy's 2025 Matti plan allocates €1 billion to Tunisia and Libya for coastal patrols and migrant detention centers. Over 100,000 intercepted migrants are held in Libyan camps, where reports of torture and extortion surge. Meloni's rhetoric, "We are not Europe's refugee camp," resonates with voters amid 8% unemployment, but the tourism and agriculture sectors reel from labor shortages. The Vatican condemns the policy as un-Christian, while the EU, reliant on Italian cooperation, remains silent. 4. Hungary. Viktor Orban's illiberal democracy enters its most extreme phase in 2025. New laws ban asylum applications from 15 high-risk nations, including Pakistan and Nigeria, while erecting a second border fence with Serbia. EU funds intended for infrastructure are diverted to private militias patrolling borders, accused of violence against migrants. Orban's speeches frame immigration as an existential threat to Hungary's Christian identity, despite the country's population declining by 15% since 2000. Opposition parties, weakened by media censorship, struggle to counter the narrative. Meanwhile, German and Austrian industries recruit Hungarian workers, creating an ironic brain drain. 3. Australia. Australia's Fortress Continent policy tightens in 2025, with biometric visa tracking and mandatory sentencing for overstayers. The Pacific Solution 2.0 relocates asylum seekers to offshore centers in Nauru, where mental health crises escalate. Prime Minister Peter Dutton's lifetime ban on boat arrivals faces legal challenges but gains public support after Cyclone Mara displaces 50,000 Pacific Islanders, fueling fears of climate migration. Paradoxically, mining and healthcare industries lobby for expanded visas, citing 120,000 job vacancies. The dissonance highlights Australia's struggle to balance security with economic pragmatism. 2. United Kingdom. The UK's Rwanda deportation scheme, initiated in 2022, becomes systematic by 2025. Over 5,000 asylum seekers are flown to Kigali under a $200 million deal, despite court rulings deeming it unlawful. Home Secretary Suella Braverman declares, "The British people voted to take back control, but leaked documents show Rwanda quietly relocates deportees to third countries." Labor shortages in NHS and transportation sectors worsen, with 20% of care worker positions unfilled. Scotland and London defy policies by declaring sanctuary city status, deepening national divides. 1. United States. A 2024 election victory by hardline Republicans transforms U.S. immigration policy. President-elect's Day 1 deportation force conducts mass ICE raids, targeting 11 million undocumented migrants. DACA protections end, affecting 600,000 Dreamers, while Title 42 expands to block all asylum claims. Texas and Arizona deploy National Guard troops to the border, clashing with Mexican cartels and shootouts that kill 45 in 2025. Canada, overwhelmed by 100,000 asylum seekers, reinstates visa requirements for Mexicans. Corporate America warns of a $1 trillion GDP loss as agriculture and tech sectors collapse without migrant labor. The humanitarian toll, families separated, businesses shuttered, ignites global protests, but the administration remains resolute. America First is not just a slogan. By 2025, immigration policies reflect a world retreating into nationalism, sacrificing humanitarian ideals for perceived stability. While governments cite economic and security concerns, the human cost, detention camps, fractured families, and lost livelihoods, paints a darker picture. Whether these measures achieve long-term goals or deepen global inequities remains uncertain, but one truth is clear. The lines between nations grow sharper, even as climate change and conflict push more people to cross them.